might get nuked.
It ain't rocket science.
No, I've just seen what's been available in the media.
Boom, narco-terrorists go flying.
A 30-year-old white man.
He had a huge ass.
I'm not changing a thing.
Hello, trusty viewer. I'm Dave Rubin. This is the Rubin Report on December 9th, 2025. We are live streaming on Rumble, YouTube, and Locals. We have a post-game show after the show where you can ask me questions, you can comment, you can criticize, and all sorts of things. It's up to you. RubinReport.locals.com. And let's just dive right in. Little of everything. But I thought this would be a nice way to start. It's not a Monday, but we are going to do a little Bill Maher stuff. We like our Mondays with Maher. It's Tuesday, but we're going to Bill Maher because on Club Random, and this is where he sits down with all sorts of people, he drinks some tequila, he smokes some weed, and he sometimes argues with people, sometimes he agrees with people. It's a totally fun vibe and really an interesting little situation that he's created over there as a guy that really is a mainstream machine at this point. He had my, I guess you would say, former friend and colleague from the Young Turks, Ana Kasparian, on. Anna, for those of you that don't know her, she's a lefty, progressive. She happens to be Armenian, which she works at a place called the Young Turks. The Young Turks was the name of the group of people in Turkey who committed the Armenian genocide, killed about 1 million Armenians, but let's put that aside for a moment. She's a leftist. She's woken up a little bit. I think about a year or two ago, she lives in LA and she got mugged or something, or some guys accosted her outside her apartment. Suddenly she started waking up to some of the issues around crime in blue-run cities, blah, blah. She's kind of woken up a little bit, but still, like most lefties, has this weird thing around Islam and blaming kind of everything on America, that nobody has any autonomy. No one can make a decision anywhere in the world that doesn't, at the end of the day, be blamed, come back to America first. Ironically, America first. Anyway, Bill and Anna got into it on whether she would she wears very tight dresses, a lot of makeup, all that stuff, whether she would dress like that in the Middle East.
If you had to live in the Middle East, so tomorrow, Anna, you got to go live in the Middle East, where would you live? You can pick one city, any city. You can, as far away as, say, Pakistan. You could live in Karachi. You could live in Cairo. You could live in Amman, Jordan. You seem to love Lebanon. I mean, Beirut's nice when the bombing's not happening and the assassinations have stopped. Where would you live? What city would you live in?
Well,
where do you think you'd be comfortable in that dress?
I'm sure it would not be comfortable in this dress in any of the various Middle Eastern countries that have been destabilized by
You're not
United States.
You're not really blaming it on Whitey.
Listen.
Are you? You're blaming Islam on Whitey?
Okay, we didn't record what I said during, okay, good. So I'll just try to be nicer here. Look, the obvious answer, you can see what Bill was doing and doing it quite well, and you can even see in her answer that she doesn't want to say the truth because it's obvious. The obvious answer, if you are a female who wants to live as you wish to live and dress the way you want to dress and put on the makeup that you want to put on and date freely and not be accosted by men and all of those things, the place you would go obviously is Tel Aviv, or you could literally be in Jerusalem and you would be fine too, even though that's way more religious. But she is a leftist, so she has what I think you can call Israel derangement syndrome. So of course she has to blame. The reason she can't wear her tight dress and put on her makeup and flaunt her sexiness is because of America, because America forced these people and their societies to act like savages. It's completely absurd. You could see she couldn't even believe it. And Bill, that is Bill just at his best, like just not taking any BS. Anyway, it continued.
I'm not blaming Islam on Whitey.
What you're saying is we destabilized. That's why you can't wear that
dress?
Did we not destabilize? Wait a second.
We were funding terrorist organizations in Syria during the Syrian civil war, starting under the Obama administration.
That's why
did that not destabilize Syria?
No, what's destabilized?
There's a literal Al-Qaeda terrorist.
We're talking about your dress. Why?
It looks good. I know it looks
why,
good.
You're saying you can't wear that dress in Syria because of whitey destabilizing?
I didn't say that.
Okay, that's
You're
what
putting
it
words in my mouth.
Okay, great.
But
that's
the
what
United
it
States
sounded
did
like.
destabilize various
But
Middle
I
Eastern
asked about
countries.
the
Are you going
dress,
to deny
and
that?
I asked about the dress, and you went right to destabilize. So is that why you couldn't wear that dress? Why couldn't you wear that dress? Why couldn't you walk down?
You want me to talk about
Why-
jihadism and Islam, but like,
Why won't you?
listen.
Why won't you?
I mean,
Why?
I don't believe in jihadism, which is why I'm furious.
Well, it's not.
You don't believe in jihadism, and yet you won't condemn it. She won't give an answer because she knows at the end of leftist logic, this is the Red-Green Alliance. Why is it that the lefties, the like queers for Palestine, are aligning with the very people that would behead him, right? Because it's a quest for revolution to destroy the West. And that's what she, as a leftist influencer, let's say, is interested in. So she knows the answer of where she could wear the dress, and she knows the answer of why she can't wear the dress in any of those other places. And it is because of Islam. Now, I'm not even saying Islam has to change. You want to have your countries and see them as they say fit. We can judge them accordingly, but I'm not for us changing them, right? Like they can change themselves if they see fit, right? Like, and maybe as time goes by and as the internet becomes more ubiquitous and they get more access to information, maybe they'll have bottom-up revolutions against the people that put them in these outfits and all of those things, but that's up to them. But the fact that she's running cover, she's a lefty, they're supposed to be for women, and they're supposed to be for minorities, and they're supposed to be for my body, my choice, and all of those things. And at the end, and Bill just does it brilliantly, it's a very obvious, open-ended question. Where could you wear that dress? She can't say Israel because that represents the West. It's the place they hate most. And she can't say the reason she can't wear it in the other places is because of Islam, because Islam is the thing that they have put at the height, at the top, at the pinnacle of their their intersectional calculator. So it's interesting because she is, I don't mean this, look, I hate these like little interpersonal back and forth things, but there's something interesting going on with her because as so many, as the lefties, as by and large, all of the lefties have gone completely woke and insane and everything else, she occasionally comes off as slightly sane. So she's getting a lot of play in right-wing media, but I think she just got fully exposed right there as just another leftist shill. At the end of the day, you will bow to Islam while you are in that dress in the comfort of America, rather than just say what the obvious truth is. However, there was something nice that happened in all of that beyond what Bill just did right there. Yes, that is Kopal sitting right in the middle there. So if Kopal can do nothing else, it will give you a good time. You can take two people who diametrically are opposed, one who isn't particularly bright. So I guess that's the lesson. Kopal, it's good for bright people and not so bright people. And by the way, there's a 10% off Christmas sale right now. Go to drinkkopal.com. We got a couple thousand bottles left. We have crushed, by the way, we're trying to figure out the full numbers on this thing, but our distributor said we have crushed every online sales record they have ever seen. So it is a beautiful gift for the holidays, but let's leave that there. The point of all of this, though, the reason I'm going with that clip is not really to just own her or any of that stuff. It's that you don't have to go to the Middle East to see how bad ideas can spread. You can actually just go to most of Europe, and sometimes you can even come here to America. Let's go to the UK for a minute. Listen to this and explain to me, did these two Afghan asylum seekers do this because we destabilized them? This is from BizGrad24. Video of two Afghan asylum seekers dragging a 15-year-old girl into a park before raping her. They arrived by boat a few months earlier. She filmed herself being dragged into the bushes. Her lawyer says the video is so horrific that it would cause riots if released. Now, you might argue, if you're a good lefty like Anna there, you would argue, well, we destabilized Afghanistan. I don't even want to bother getting into, well, there was a guy by the name of Osama bin Laden and all that. But their argument would be, we destabilized Afghanistan, so these people have to now come across the world and they have to be part of our societies. Now, even if you believed some version of that was true, did we screw up Afghanistan? We had a 20-year war that no one knew exactly why we did it, and most of the 9/11 people were from Saudi Arabia. I can get on board some of that stuff. But why is it that so many, a ridiculously disproportionate amount of the people who come as migrants or refugees. They are young, they are male, they're in their 20s and 30s, they're of fighting age, and they do horrible things. Go to America or go to, your local library. Do they still have microfiche? Do you guys even remember what microfiche is? You guys don't even know what it is, do you? Google microfiche. I want a picture of a microfiche machine. It was an old thing at a library back in the day that you'd go downstairs and you could use the microfiche machine to look at old articles from newspapers. And if the microfiche machine still exists, you can go to your library and see pictures of what it looked like when people were coming to America into Ellis Island, and there were old women and they had one bag and a kid. We've got the microfiche machine. I used to operate one of those machines as a youngster in Long Island. Yes, that was the machine. Some of you will remember that. The point is that all of these people, they're coming and then they are bringing their bad habits. So is it the destabilization that we caused in Syria, to whatever extent that's true, that we caused in Syria or Afghanistan or anywhere else, that caused people to become rapists? If somebody, Connor, I got one for you. If somebody destabilized America and all hell broke loose and you had to move to Canada, would you start raping 15-year-old girls? No? Phoenix?
No.
No? Joseph? Why'd you pause? All right, we'll talk about that at lunch. You see the point. There is something culturally going on here. Culturally. Oh, and by the way, this idea that everything is the United States' fault is so fucking boring. It's boring and it's dumb. Because go to the history of the Middle East. Those maps have been redrawn hundreds and hundreds of times. It is a place that is about conquering and reconstituting states and everything else. But everything is just the fault of the United States since World War II. That's when history began, according to progressives. Anyway, we don't just have to go to Afghanistan or to Syria or some of the other places that Anna refuses to wear that dress wisely, or the UK, where it's probably not the greatest thing to do that. You can also go to Minnesota. Listen to this from Tommy Robinson. A serial rapist has been charged with kidnapping and sexually assaulting a woman over several days in a hotel room. This comes just months after being let off with no prison time for 2 other attacks, including the rape of a 15-year-old girl at gunpoint. Ambadat Bilay Mohammed, 28, was only free because of an astonishing plea deal he was given in May by Progressive County, Hennepin County, Minnesota. It's becoming every day now, just like the UK. Get them out. So again, leave the image up for just a second. That guy right there, okay, was he forced to rape a 15-year-old girl at gunpoint because of something the United States did regarding destabilization across the world, or is there something else going on? I mean, really think about it. It was nice to hear that Connor and Phoenix would not just randomly rape a 15-year-old if they had to go to Canada. But really think about it. Imagine your country fell apart and you were welcomed into another country. Would you just start raping their women because of the destabilization? The answer is obviously no. You might start raping women if you've been fed all of the wrong ideas, if you think they are to live as dhimmis and you can use them and you are, all right, you got it. But there's more. Let's do a little bit more here. This is from Dapper Detective on X. Breaking. Statement of probable cause details the horrific rape of a 15-year-old girl by a 27-year-old Muslim illegal alien. Ochan Omat Achogi in Sanctuary Hellscape, Minnesota. Deport all of these third world pedophiles, indict Democrats for harboring them. Okay, so the little editorialization there. But again, look at that guy. Was he forced to become a rapist of a 15-year-old girl in Minnesota because we destabilized somebody somewhere? Or is there something else going on? Well, we've got some numbers on something else that might be going on. This is from Han Shawnedy. He's a great follow on X. The rape rate in Minneapolis, Minnesota is 101 per 100,000 people, which is roughly 150 times higher than the national average. For context, here's the rape rate in other major cities. New York City, it's 33 out of 100. LA, 40 out of 100. Miami, 100K, obviously. Miami, 23 out of 100K. Dallas, 37 out of 100K. San Francisco, 35 out of 100K. Why is that? So it's not double, triple, quadruple, et cetera, et cetera. We're talking over 100 times more there. Do you think there is a connection? Now, there's another part of this, because so much of this just lies at the feet of the mainstream media. They cried racism so falsely. They told us we were systemically racist. They made it so that if you pointed out anything where there were racial disparities, they always called you racist. And now there's this massive blowback against it. But we do have to start thinking about why some of these things happen. So this is, I thought, quite interesting. This is from End Wokeness. Now look at this. 6.4% of Minnesota's population is black. They commit 62% of the crimes. The white population is 81.6. So if you add those two, you get about 91, 92%. Then there's about 8% that's Asian or whatever else. But the white population is about 81.6% of Minnesota, and they commit 30.8% of the crimes. So this is wildly disproportionate. Now that's a little different than because we got destabilized over there. But we have to be able to talk about this, right? That is not anyone encouraging anyone to be racist, and you should only judge anyone by their actions and their words. But if we can't look at those numbers and say, well, so what has gone on here? Now, the problem is the Democrats will look at those numbers and go, that's systemic racism. What they might want to look at is their own policies, mostly which started in the early 70s, and we've done plenty of shows on this with Larry Elder, who we should have back on soon, and Thomas Sowell and many others, who talked about once the welfare state kicked in, it largely destroyed the nuclear black family. So there were many, many more black households being raised without a father. That causes all sorts of problems. Then you get people on the dole of the government. They don't have the drive to get better jobs. And then you're giving them rent subsidized apartments. It creates the perfect conditions for criminality. Now let's get back to the immigration part of this. Let's go back to Minnesota, where Jacob Frey, you know this guy, he is the most pandering, ridiculous politician perhaps in the country. And here he is talking to the Somali community. And again, note he cannot make a distinction between legal and illegal immigration.
And the message that we are sending to our Somali community, to our Latino community, to any community that is being targeted, is that we stand with you. Minneapolis is not backing down. Our police officers will not coordinate with any federal agency that is doing immigration law enforcement work. We stand with the community members that make Minneapolis the extraordinary place that it is, and we aren't backing down. We're rock solid in support of them.
Okay, so again, no distinction between illegal and legal. Nobody is going after legal immigrants. Look, there might be, we've talked about it a bunch over the last week or so, there might be a particularly unique problem with legal Somalis due to some of the fraud stuff that we've talked about, the rapes, the criminal gangs. Like there might be something, but I haven't heard anyone, even Donald Trump, I don't think I've heard anyone say the people who got here legally, even the ones that are up to no good, have to be kicked out. There might be an argument for that at some point. Like if you came in legally, you're first generation, and you're just wrecking havoc, like there's probably some argument about that. I'm not even sure what the legal issues would be around that. But he's saying the Somali community, the Latino community, any community that is being targeted. They're not targeting the Somali community or the Latino community or any community just based on some sort of immutable characteristic. They're targeting illegals. That is what ICE is doing. So he is breaking federal law when he, as the mayor, tells the police, do not work with ICE. He should not be the mayor of New York City. And by the way, the guy who's going to be sworn in about 2.5 weeks in New York City, Zoran Mamdani, or as we like to call him, Moron Zamboni, he is also telling the police of New York, do not work with the federal government. It is illegal. He shouldn't even be allowed to be sworn in, but it's New York, and good luck with all of that. But how else are things translating over in Minnesota? Well, check out the Winooski School District right here. Oh, this is in Vermont. Sorry, this isn't even Minnesota. Well, good for Minnesota, spreading the love. Yeah, they're raising the Somali flag there in Vermont. Bernie must be thrilled about that. And as far as I understand, I did a little digging on this. Do we have an image? Look at this. Look, after school. That's right. You can get the Female Genital Mutilation Club at that school in Vermont, right? And look at those scissors. You get to keep the scissor, too. It's very, very exciting. Oh, the wonders of AI. But as long as we're talking about the Somalis of Minnesota, who, again, undoubtedly, there are individuals who are America-loving, proud to be here and everything else, right? But some of them aren't. And I would say the main one who ain't is Ilhan Omar, who's recently comparing Stephen Miller, a Jew, to the Nazis. Here's Jesse Waters on that.
His white supremacist rhetoric, it reminds me of the way the Nazis described Jewish people in Germany.
Oh yes, Stephen Miller, the Jewish Nazi. Omar's not the only one comparing Miller to Nazis. This Somali councilman has been on the warpath.
Obviously, everyone knows that our president is racist, xenophobic, Islamophobic, and we are gonna fight that.
It's not this Somali's first rodeo with the race card. When Minnesota first got word of the fraud, he threatened to call everyone Hitler if they cut him off.
When I heard that MDE took this step to really stop feeding the kids in the middle of pandemic, my office had to do something. But I'm one of those people that push back and call it what it is, which is racist tactic.
We are up against something here, guys. We are really up against an infection in the system. If America is a body, we have an infection. And this infection, it's like, how do you stop an infection when it's constantly being poked at and prodded, right? Like the body starts healing. How has the body started healing? Well, in the 10 or 11 months of the Trump administration, we closed the borders. We stopped the illegals from coming in. So now the infection could start healing. But then you have people that are here now who are actively trying to stop law enforcement, ICE in this case, from doing their job, which is to get rid of illegals. And then you have politicians who lie about it because they don't make the distinction between legal and illegal. And then, of course, we have a mainstream media that launders all of those lies. So the average person that still watches mainstream media or is not that astute or just doesn't care that much because they're living their life, and I fully respect that. They're confused about what the issues are because they're like, oh my God, ICE is coming in and grabbing grandma off the linoleum floor, as Jon Stewart said. And it's all complete lies. The other part that they have to do beyond the lying is they have to overly emote about everything. Here is Gavin Newsom, who we confirmed yesterday does not have testicles, about Stephen Miller.
He's about cruelty and chaos. Yeah. I think there's a cruelty to him. I really do. And I don't say that honestly about a lot of people. Where do you think that comes from? I don't know. I don't want to. I don't know him, so I can't analyze him except from afar. Quite literally, people are disappearing. Yeah. The scream that you can't unhear what you hear or see in these videos of moms that are losing family members. Those screams are real. I was with a 16-year-old kid who couldn't even look me in the eye because his mom and dad disappeared, going to the same job they went to for 20 years at a vegetable packing place in Ventura County. That's Stephen Miller.
This is the suicidal empathy thing that Gavin talks about. Or that Gavin talks about, sorry, Gad talks about. First off, you want to talk about cruelty? Do we have an image of cruelty that he has done? Yeah, this is cruelty. This is cruelty, and it's all over your state, Gavin Newsom. This is the fentanyl fold. These are people who are everywhere in Los Angeles, everywhere in San Francisco, who get hooked on drugs, largely because of an open border that you are all about, right? You were telling Trump he was a racist the entire time. So that is cruel, but you don't care about those people because those are legal citizens. Now, as for the 16-year-old kid who couldn't look you in the eye, now I don't know where all these videos are. There's all these videos of all these people who are being unpersoned and disappearing. Now, first off, anyone that's being taken out of the country is illegal. I don't have any. You can look for yourself. Don't even trust us. Show me some video somewhere. Please, someone put it in the comment section of people who are legal and being taken out of the country. Now, in the case that he's talking about, my guess is two parents who were illegals. So they chose to come here illegally. They probably, I don't know if they brought the kid over with them or they had the kid here, in which case he's an American citizen. But then they made a choice in their lives. They might be perfectly good people and they might have been working hard and wanted to participate in the American dream and all of those things. And that's just fine. But there are people waiting in line right now, right? You cannot let everyone in. If you have a party, a dinner party at your house, you don't just put a sign outside that says, everyone come, free filet mignon. No, because you have a limited, finite amount of filet mignon and you can't give it to everyone. So you are not you're not empathetic. It's fake. It's fake empathy. When you have endless empathy, you actually end up being really cruel. And that is what you are. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is trying to clean it up. He's doing a hell of a job and he's getting some accolades for it. We'll have more on that in just a second, but first, Shopify. If you've ever shopped online, chances are you've bought from a business that is powered by Shopify. And there's a reason so many businesses use it. Shopify doesn't just make it simple to buy, it makes it incredibly easy to start and run your own business. It's the commerce platform behind 10% of all e-commerce in the US, powering everything from household names to brand new startups. With Shopify, you can choose from hundreds of beautiful, ready-to-go templates to express your brand style. You can manage everything in one place, from inventory to payments to analytics, and even grow your audience with built-in marketing and email tools. So if you want to see fewer abandoned carts and more cha-chings, it's time to check out Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Rubin. That's shopify.com/Rubin. All right, so Trump is cleaning things up. He's cleaning things up within our country right now, closing the border. About 650 to 700,000 illegals out so far. But again, to the backdrop of it could be 20 million that came in 4 years, it's a drop in the bucket. And we've got a lot more work to do. And thank God he's president for 3 more years. That's one thing. But he's also cleaning up a lot of the world. He has wrapped up 8 wars. We have at least a temporary ceasefire and maybe a broader chance for peace in the Middle East. He's working on the Russia-Ukraine thing and he's getting, as I said, accolades for it. Just yesterday, he received the FIFA, that's the World Soccer, or as you people call it, Football Association, Peace Prize. Here's President Gianni Infantino giving it to him.
The FIFA Peace Prize is presented annually on behalf of the billions of football-loving people from around the world to a distinguished individual who exemplifies an unwavering commitment to advancing peace and unity throughout the world through their notable leadership and action. Awards the 2025 FIFA Peace Prize, Football Unites the World, to Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America.
Okay, so there's something particularly interesting about this because this is a sports organization. Now, we make fun of soccer here in America. It's not really my thing, but it's huge all over the world. They didn't have to give it to Trump. They probably were sitting in an office, somebody at the FIFA World headquarters, wherever that is, going, this maybe isn't a great idea because we're going to get a lot of pushback and everything else. But they went ahead and did the right thing. Here's Infantino on Trump's track record and why he got the award.
I was lucky, Mr. President, to witness a few years ago, the Abraham Accord signatures. A few months ago, in Sharm el-Sheikh, the peace in the Middle East agreement regarding Gaza. I was in Malaysia and Kuala Lumpur for the peace between Cambodia and Thailand. Yesterday here in Washington, the Washington peace agreement between Rwanda and the DRC. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. This is truly one of the great honors of my life. And beyond awards, Gianni and I were discussing this. We saved millions and millions of lives. The Congo, as an example, over 10 million people killed, and it was heading for another 10 million very quickly. And it just, the fact that we could do that, India, Pakistan, so many different wars that we're able to end.
Yeah, and that's Trump at his best, off the cuff. Just telling the truth, right? Like outside of this one's a garbage country or anything else, the truth. And the truth is that by exercising American strength, not by bombing the crap out of people, but by exercising American strength and a moral standing in the world that if we don't exercise, someone else will. And I hate to tell you, but nobody, Russia, China, they ain't going to be as moral as us. We've started to clean these things up. So India, Pakistan, Abraham Accords, Gaza, they just went through the list, right? And it doesn't mean it's all going to be perfect, but this is one of the strange things as we're watching some of this weirdness on the right from, say, the Tucker Carlson crew that want America to have nothing to do with the world. Philosophically, I can get on board some of that stuff. You're an American, you should only care about America, but America doesn't exist in a vacuum. So with no real cost to us in terms of blood and soldiers or anything else, by exerting influence, by saying, here are our allies, here are the bad guys, start coming together, let's figure some things out, we've made the world more peaceful. When we back out of the world, it creates the vacuum for the bad guys to get in there. That's just a reality. that you cannot get around. Here is Scott Jennings over on CNN explaining that Trump has many, many accomplishments. He points out to what he thinks his best is.
First of all, he's got a great track record of solving conflicts around the world. The United States is engaged in many places and brought countries that were in conflict to a peaceful resolution. That's good. Number two, I think one of his greatest accomplishments, bringing home the living hostages from Gaza, getting a ceasefire there in the Middle East, trying to expand the Abraham Accords. That's a great thing. And number three, even on Venezuela, I mean, look, we're attacking people that are doing the opposite of bringing peace to families in the United States. I mean, when we let this poison into our country, we're effectively letting in terrorists. I think the president believes deeply in peace. I think he has a track record of it. And I think the FIFA guy came up with a great idea. And it's great for our country that we're having the World Cup. And I'm glad the president is leaning into it with the head of.
Yeah, of course, every word of that is right. And you can decide for yourself what you think the best thing that Trump has done over the years as it comes to these peace deals is. But all of these people, you know, right now, there's a certain set of people, again, a sliver of these people on the right, but they're very loud online, who are like, oh, we're going to invade Venezuela and it's regime change and all of these things. It's like they're actively committing war, depending on how you want to use the word, on us. If you flood a country with drugs and kill their citizens, that is a type of war. Missiles aren't the only way you can kill people. You can degrade a society through drugging their young people and destroying their cities. That might be one way to do it kind of in slow motion. And by the way, that's the opium wars. I mean, this is not the idea of drugging another population to event as an act of war is not just suddenly new right now. So Trump isn't going for Venezuela because he's for war. In essence, he's trying to end a war that's already on our soil. Now we will jump over to the ladies of The View and, well, shocker, shocker, they are less than enthused about Trump getting all these awards.
The thing about this peace award, this peace medal,
it's a piece of metal, yeah.
Yeah, it's a piece of metal. Correct. It just, I think we all know that Obama lives rent-free in Trump's head. And he has for a really long time. And I think the fact that President Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize is still living rent-free in this president's mind. And he wants the Nobel Peace Prize. He's probably not going to get the Nobel Peace Prize. I don't think he's worthy of the Nobel Peace Prize, quite frankly.
If you show up with a tchotchke, preferably covered in gold, and give it to the 3-year-old in the Oval Office, he will be entertained and he will be happy.
Right? Wait, she's not pregnant? Is Alyssa Farah pregnant? Can you go back to that video for a second? I'm not even making fun. I don't know that I'm not even making a weight joke, really. But can we just forward and let's just see here. Right at the end, they show her. She looks pregnant to me. Oh, she is pregnant. She is pregnant. Okay, all right. Believe me, out of all the things I've said about the ladies of The View, saying that she's pregnant wouldn't be the worst. But the reason I was going to mention that is because when Sunny there says, well, Donald Trump isn't deserving of the Nobel Prize, and then she says, and Barack Obama got the Nobel Prize, so Trump is jealous of it. Alyssa, you're the pet Republican there. So they must be contractually that once per show you have to say something roughly sane so that we can pretend you're the conservative. Why didn't you turn to Sunny and say, well, Sunny, why did Barack Obama get the Nobel Peace Prize? And then Sunny wouldn't have known what to do, because if you remember, Barack Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize before he was even sworn in as president. They gave it to him for literally no reason other than he believed in hope and change and he had nice teeth. That was it. That really was it. You could have tried that, but the point of wanting to know if she was pregnant or not is that I'm not going to go after a pregnant woman during the holidays. My buddy Sher Michael Singleton over on CNN shut down a generic New York Times reporter, you don't even have to care about the name, for criticizing Trump over this Peace Prize.
The thing is this. He's incredibly powerful, and there are real accomplishments that he has actually made. And I don't understand the constant need that he feels to have people sort of pander to him. It's just a strange impulse when you are the most powerful man in the world.
Is there any harm in this? I mean, it's a very serious question here. I mean, Congo.
Psychologists say yes.
Congo, DRC. I did some work with the DRC a couple of years ago. That's important. There are some factions that are still fighting there, but you have to acknowledge that. Pakistan, India, that was a very real thing.
But why is FIFA giving him an award?
My point is, there are some very serious resolutions that the president has under his belt in less than a year. I don't have a problem with it being acknowledged, whether it's FIFA, whether it's the New York Times, whether it's CNN. What's the problem?
Yeah, sure, Michael's great. We'll get him back on the show. His point there is, okay, so you're upset that he likes getting these prizes, and somebody might argue, okay, he shouldn't care about any of these, including the Nobel. Like, he's done so much good, he's accomplished so much, he's righted the ship and all of this stuff, that he shouldn't care about that. But that's just nothing. If he likes those things, he likes getting in a tuxedo every couple months and having someone hand him something shiny, and that's his reward for world peace. Like, get on board, you boring babbling buffoons, please. Let's talk about Morgan & Morgan for a second, and then Trump doing more good work. We're going to start poisoning a few less kids. Pretty good. If you've ever been seriously hurt in an accident, your injury could actually be worth millions, and most people have no idea. Insurance companies love to lowball claims, offering way less than what you deserve. That's why there's Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm with over 1,000 attorneys across 50 states. They've been fighting for people for more than 30 years, and they don't settle for lowball offers. Just recently, they won $12 million in Florida, $26 million in Philadelphia, and $6.8 million in New York, all way above what insurance companies offered. And the best part, it's completely free unless you win. No upfront costs, no hidden fees. It takes only a couple minutes to see if you have a case. Did you know you can start a claim with America's largest injury law firm in just one click? It's super easy. Just go to forthepeople.com/Rubin or click the link in the description and pin comment. You know, I think the day of the election, or maybe it was the day after the election, I tweeted something like, it's not that these people think Trump's a racist, it's that they think he actually might be a success, and that's what they fear most. Meaning, if you're running around and calling this guy a racist and Hitler and a Nazi and everything else, most people don't actually believe that, but they say it. Right now, a certain sliver of people do. But I think what these people fear most is, if the guy that you're calling Hitler actually starts doing all of this good stuff, I've said this many times, for years I said this the day after his first election, it's not what you're doing to him, it's that you're painting yourself in a corner, because it's pretty hard to come back and be like, yeah, well, it turned out Hitler was pretty good. Like, it just doesn't work. And Trump is doing consistently great things and doing the very things that he promised to do. And now listen to this. I mean, this is quite literally life-changing for Americans right now, from Reuters. President Donald Trump on Friday welcomed U.S. vaccine advisors, scrapping a long-standing recommendation that all American newborns receive the hepatitis B shot, and signed a memo to review aligning child immunization recommendations with best practices from peer-developed countries. If the health secretary and CDC director determine these best practices are superior to current domestic recommendations, they are directed to update the U.S. core childhood vaccine schedule to align with such scientific evidence and best practices from peer-developed countries, while preserving access to vaccines currently available to Americans, a White House fact sheet said. Now, I saw this image before we get into some of the specifics. This is, you know, a meme is worth 1,000 words. This is from James Utmeyer, who's the Attorney General here in Florida, and what he's showing you there is that in 1986, look at that, the CDC vaccine schedule, in utero to 12 months. So from the time of conception to 12 months old, 1 year, it used to be 5 vaccines. And there you can see the schedule. Each one, you know, they fan them out a little bit. So one is at 2 months, one's at 4 months, et cetera, et cetera. And then look what happened. Look what happened in a couple decades, how many more injections we are giving to these kids. And then there are all the conversations, which, by the way, we are allowed to have, about how this relates to perhaps autism or other health problems, and what we're doing to their systems and natural immunity and all of these things. So this is something Trump promised. You may remember that Bobby Kennedy said that his entire life's work was to make sure America's children were healthier. And then I think his exact words were, and I thank God that Donald Trump became president. And then Donald Trump tapped him to fix this stuff. And it's not just him. He brought in some other great people, like my friend Dr. Oz, and here Dr. Marty Makary, talking about how the FDA knew that COVID vaccines were causing child death, but they hid it.
Is it premature in your mind to change vaccine policy, COVID vaccine policy, before there's more expansive data that's provided to experts?
So we've known about children who have died from the COVID vaccine for a while now. It's been reported in medical journals. In the New England Journal of Medicine, there was a young male reported as having died from the COVID vaccine directly after vaccine-induced myocarditis. There's been a Senate subcommittee report on deaths from the COVID vaccine. The question is, since the FDA has had this information, do we make it available to the public? And does the public have a right to this information on COVID vaccine deaths in children that have been verified by career scientists at the FDA? I believe they do. So these were deaths, the data for which accrued in the prior administration. It was not released to the public. We chose to release it to the public.
Okay, so not only are they looking at the death rates and what's going on with COVID vaccines and everything else, but they're also, at the end, releasing the information to the public. And then if you have more information, you don't have to just listen to the experts. You can discuss it with your spouse and your friends and your family doctor. And you can come up with a policy around vaccines and your own health and your family's health that works for you. That's why transparency is good. So while Makary right there is doing great things, let's flash back to former CDC Director Rochelle Walensky. And here she is explaining that if vaccine manufacturers aren't free from responsibility, they won't make vaccines.
One final thing, and that is the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. We acknowledge that there are true, albeit rare, injuries associated with vaccines. And when they are adjudicated, those people should merit some compensation for those injuries. In order to keep both physicians and our manufacturers free of responsibility from that for those very rare injuries, there is this program that compensates people for them. And that program is at risk right now. And in the absence of that program, we may see manufacturers, we've seen it before, choose not to make vaccines.
That is really fascinating because who is she? She's so muddled. She's like afraid of her own words as she's saying it. But who is she more concerned about? Does she seem very concerned about the vaccine injured? She seems way more concerned about the physicians or manufacturers. So that tells you a little bit about why everything went so haywire during COVID. Now, is it legit that there should be some protections for these companies when they're rolling out vaccines? Because, it's also crazy because to discuss this around COVID, which was so freaking fake and mass hypnosis and all of that. But do these companies deserve some protections? Because most, by and large, what they do this is so hard to say even to make sense, because of most of what they do is generally good for public health, and that if they could be sued left and right every time something went wrong or somebody died or there was an injury, they wouldn't go out there and do anything, right? They would be afraid to do experimental things. Is there some argument you could make around that? Yes, but it seems quite interesting to me that Walensky, who is heading up virtually everything and lying about COVID throughout those 3 psychotic years, that she seems more sympathetic to making sure that the manufacturers aren't injured in their pocketbook rather than the kids who were injured by the vaccine itself. Let's just do one more of these. This is former FDA Commissioner Dr. Scott Gottlieb, asked if the Biden administration's hid the dangers of the vaccine. Listen to the wordplay here.
Doctor, was there a concerted effort in the Biden administration to not be totally forthcoming with the risks for the COVID vaccine with children?
Look, I trust the judgment of the people who were there. They were very good people in those positions, and I've spoken with them, and they did an exhaustive review of these individual cases. When there was a lot of concern that this was going to hit children harder than adults, that certainly didn't turn out to be the case. But during the Delta wave, children were getting sick. Now, like a lot of other components to this epidemic or this pandemic, things changed and things evolved, and our policies didn't change quickly enough to accommodate that. Policy making slow. It's retrospective.
Actually, it doesn't have to be slow, although there's reasons you don't want to make decisions just kind of willy-nilly. But buddy, again, why is it? Go back to all of my videos during COVID. Why was I not screaming that children should get it? Because every data point showed that kids would get COVID and be fine after. When that Delta wave came, you may remember the Delta wave. That's when I finally got COVID. It was the week that we moved to Florida. It was basically 4 years ago next week. It was pretty much Christmas week of 2021. And it was a milder version of COVID. I wasn't vaxxed and I survived. Now, again, there's all sorts of people. People have different health issues. You have different antibodies. You have different immunity and all of those things. But you guys were pushing this on kids for no reason. And now there are kids that are vaccine injured. I've mentioned this before. I know a young person, college-age person, who was perfectly healthy his entire life. He was forced to get the vaccine because he wanted to go back to college, and he now has a heart condition, right? The doctors can only chalk that up to the vaccine. So what are you going to do for him? Well, we know the answer is jack shit, but you're not involved in the government anymore, so that is pretty good. Although I'm guessing he still works at a pharmaceutical company or something. If you think some of that is crazy, there is a woman with very fake eyelashes who has an even faker accent, and she's running for Senate in Texas. May God help us all. We will have a bit on Jasmine Crockett in a moment, but first, Venice AI. Sam Altman just announced that ChatGPT can now reference all your past conversations, every thought, question, idea you've ever shared. And with a former NSA director now on their board, Edward Snowden called it a willful, calculated betrayal of the rights of every person on Earth. We've seen this before. Alexa listens. Meta tracks everything you do. Why assume AI will be any different? And now OpenAI might even start asking for government IDs to use ChatGPT. That's where Venice.ai comes in. It gives you the power of AI without giving up your privacy. It's open source, private, and runs right in your browser. No spying, no censorship, no data collection. Your chats stay encrypted and stored only on your device. Go to venice.ai/Dave and use code Dave for 20% off a pro plan. That's venice.ai/Dave. Code Dave. Real AI, real privacy. All right, so look, this is what I'm doing during the show, scribbling and when I'm thinking. This is me, what it looks like when I'm thinking. I'm writing things and also scribbling like a crazy person. We should have known this was coming, but Jasmine Crockett, the congresswoman who, she makes AOC look authentic. She's just awful, but I get it. She's kind of pretty. She understands television. She's got fake eyelashes and a fake accent, like she's doing the kayfabe right. So now she's running for senator from Texas, and here is her launch video.
How about this new one they have, their new star, Crockett? How about her? She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble. Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
All right, so look, we're getting another version of Mamdani right now. It's going to be slick. The ad, of course, it's just dribble. It's nothing like, it's not a positive affirmation or anything. What she's trying to say is Trump fears me. That's what it is, and that's often what Mamdani ran on as well. But you're going to see this. It's going to be slick. It's going to have the right music and the right lens and all of these things. And the media, and this is something we're all part of in some sense, you end up talking about it, and it Streisand affects the entire thing, right? There's like a little story that maybe we should all ignore, and in a sane world, it shouldn't matter to me that much who one of the senators is from Texas. But then we do start talking about it, and it becomes culturally important. So she is going to run, and here is her intro. They had a rapper come on stage and introduce her with a little rap ditty. Can we?
Let's get into it. Okay. She ain't never scared and she ain't never been. Who is willing to go toe-to-toe against the president? I can't wrap my head around someone who votes Republican. She advocates.
That's it? We can't play the extended version? No. I don't care for rap. I don't care for that guy. I don't care for her. It's just like, what are we doing? What are we doing, guys? Anyway, here's Jasmine post-announcing, saying that people think she can't win because, yeah, she's black.
When people come together, so I'm asking you to tune out those intrusive voices that say she can't win because she's black, because she's a woman, or because she's a Democrat. If you believe women should be in all spaces, then I ask you to stand with me, especially in this moment. There are a lot of people that said, you gotta stay in the house. We need our voice. We need you there. And I understand. But what we need is for me to have a bigger voice.
Yes, that's what we need in America, more of her. You see how intersectionality just dumbs everything down. She wants to make it seem like people were like, don't run because you're black and we don't want black. But nobody cares. If you're a qualified black person, that's great. And don't run because you're a woman and they don't want women. It's like nobody cares. If you're a woman and you're qualified, that's great, right? Especially people on, let's say, the right side of the aisle don't care about those things. And if anything, when a black woman happens to show up that is qualified and knows what she's doing and is running for the right reasons, they go out of their way to support them to prove that they're not racist, because some of this shit still does stick. Now, you said you're black and you're a woman and you're a Democrat. Now, yes, you're a Democrat, which is probably disqualifying in a sane society, but I don't know that we're quite there on that. She also, interestingly, doesn't want black people to pay taxes.
Just this past week, I saw, I don't remember which celebrity, but it was actually a celebrity, and I was like, I don't know that that's not necessarily a bad idea, but I'd have to think through it a lot. One of the things that they propose is black folk not have to pay taxes for a certain amount of time, because then again, that puts money back in your pocket.
You three cracker-ass motherfuckers paying taxes. You suckers. You fools. You white fools. Buck Sexton, my friend from the Clay and Buck show, he saw that video. He tweeted this. About 60% of black households already pay zero federal income tax. That is quite interesting, but the very idea that you would even float something so profoundly racist and ridiculous that based on skin color, someone shouldn't have to pay taxes is profoundly absurd. And again, I would also say disqualifying. It would be disqualifying in the same, because it's antithetical to the founding documents of this country, that instead of individual rights and the pursuit of happiness, you've decided to quarantine us all off. You look like this, you will do that, or you will get that. It's disqualifying by nature, but then again, it's baked into the modern Democrat Party, as is, if you commit a crime, you shouldn't pay the price for it. Here she is on crime and criminality.
I understood what was kind of pushing them there. And so I do want people to know that just because someone has committed a crime, it doesn't make them a criminal. That is completely different. Being a criminal is more so about your mindset. Committing a crime can come for a lot of different reasons.
I don't know how much longer I can do this, guys. I can't do this much longer. How do I even properly respond to that? Committing a crime doesn't make you a criminal. It's about a mindset. What could that possibly mean? You walk into 7-Eleven, you steal a Gatorade. Are you a criminal? Yes or no? Yes. You walk into GameStop and you steal the Wii. Is the Wii still out? You steal a PS5 game. Are you a criminal? Yes. You burn down a Pep Boys in the name of racial justice. Are you a criminal? Yes. I don't care what your mindset is. Wow, I'm very thoughtful, wonderful, loving person. I just need to burn down this random person's store to stop racism. I'm not a criminal. Like, lady, go home. Go home. Open up an eyelash shop. You know what? Crockett, open up an eyelash shop in Houston. I will give you $50,000. I will seed the shop to get it going. I will buy the first $50,000 worth of fake eyelashes. That would be a better job and something you are far more of an expert in than this. And she's a lawyer, by the way. I mean, she's a lawyer telling you that if you commit a crime, you are not a criminal. Lordy. So which country do you want to live in? Do you want to live in a country where the people who commit crimes are not called criminals? Or do you want to live in a country where you will be judged on who you are and what your actions are, and you hopefully will live around people that you can build a solid community with and all of those things? So you could do this, for example. This is one version of it. A group of teens in a bike gang looting a 7-Eleven. Not criminals, though. Take a look.
Yo, stop. Yo, bro, stop! Oh my gosh, bro, stop! Stop! Yo, stop! Yo, guys, yo, deadass, please! Yo, can y'all stop? Not deadass, I'm so serious right now. Get out, please. Nah, bro, I'm not just stop, bro. Nah, yo, bro, nah, don't go, bro. What are you doing, bro? It's not worth it. Get out, bro.
It's worth it because they don't got my face on it.
I'll pay $1,000 to 2,000, it doesn't out. What could I do to help? Could I help?
What does dead ass mean? Dead ass means like real. Yo, dead ass, don't steal those Takis. Come on, man. But if you're stealing the Takis, let me get one of the extra spicy. You see, so we've endorsed this. The kid there who's wearing the mask and says, in essence, it's okay because I'm wearing a mask, meaning I won't get caught. It makes you think a lot about all the rioters we have and the Hamas people on the streets and everything else, and the conditioning that a generation of young people got by being told to put their masks on so they wouldn't kill grandma. So that's one way we can do it. We can just do more of that. And that's obviously the Jasmine Crockett way, because what she would tell you is it was a mindset. As long as their mindset isn't criminal, those people stealing the Gatorade, throwing the shit out there, poor guy, that guy who's probably came to America legally, working a real job, trying to get the American dream done. He's the victim in this thing. The Democrats don't care about him. But we can go that way, or perhaps we can go another way. Here is Erika Kirk.
It was the Sabbath is not just a nice idea. Mm-hmm. It's not just a day of rest for the religious or nostalgic. Mm-hmm. The Sabbath is God's answer to a culture spinning out of control. And it is his ancient rhythm and sanity planted like an anchor in a world swept away by currents and chaos. And he said, 6 days we work, build, engage. On the 7th day we stop, not because we're weak.
Not weak.
We stop because we're human.
Mm-hmm. He did not just write this book, he lived it. So when you feel something so deeply and you've experienced it and you lived it, you want to be able to tell other people, look, this will change your life. I know it might sound simple, but sometimes the best answers are the most simple ones. It is truth. This is Charlie's last book. So people can write books all about my husband and what he believed and what he said and analyze his videos. These are his words. And when you read them, you feel him come to life. It's powerful.
And that kind of seems like the divide. We can have chaos and no one will take responsibility for everything, and politicians that will excuse awful behavior and media that will launder the lies around it. Or you could take a little stock in your own life. And, I tweeted out a few weeks after Charlie's death that we are trying to observe the Sabbath to the best of our ability here in honor of Charlie. Jews call it Shabbat. That's from Friday night sundown to Saturday night sundown, to at the very least be off the machines and try to be more present with your family and friends. We try to go to my sister and husband and cousins on Friday night, little holla, enjoy the holiday and some family. We don't do it every week to the perfect ability, but we're trying a little something. You might do it on Sundays. But you can take a little stock of your own life, your own habits, and maybe there's something to those old stories that God worked for 6 days, took the 7th day off, and that's what Charlie's saying we were supposed to do. And maybe that is, I take a month off. When I started taking the month off the grid, Ben Shapiro tweeted at me once and he goes, Dave, you don't have to take a month every year, that it's baked in. Once a week you could do it. It's baked in, meaning Shabbat, meaning the Sabbath. So maybe there's a reason for some of that ancient knowledge, and it is not all crazy. And by the way, that book I think is out today, right? The book is out today. It's Charlie's last book. It's called Stop in the Name of God, Why Honoring the Sabbath Will Transform Your Life. Another thing that will transform your life is the post-game show coming up in 30 seconds. RubinReport.locals.com. Goodbye.